So for today's video, I am here to debut my new haircut. Probably not new to you guys if you've seen me on live reading sprints. I am currently doing live reading sprints with my friend Lori over at the Chatty Bookworm. Thank you so much, Lori, for joining me. Today's video, I am very excited. I'm going to be chit-chatting very much in this video, so sorry if you don't love that. So grab your blankets, grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and let's curl up and talk about all things bookish. So I'll be drinking my iced black tea. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on words already. So let's get a sip of tea before we start today's video. So today's video, like I said, is going to be my March wrap-up. I am very behind on my monthly wrap-up, so sorry that these are going to get filmed out of order, but you might see this t-shirt in the same videos, next couple videos, so sorry for that. But this is my March wrap-up for 2024. March was an okay month. I've read 7 books. Yeah, I've read 7 books, but that's also because I went on vacation for the first time in a while. Me and my whole family went to Hawaii for the first time, and that was wonderful. I have 2 vlogs coming for that, so one of them is already up now, and then the other ones will be coming up soon. I'm gonna start off my wrap-ups about talking about my current reads. I'm currently reading 2 books at the moment, technically 3, but I don't know what I did with my oh yeah, my third one. So the first one that I am reading is, I am 7 chapters into Every Time You Hear That Song by Jenna Voice. I'm trying to finish this one today, that way I can finish it before my author interview, which will be happening Sunday, June 2nd at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, or sorry, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I definitely need to finish this by tomorrow, if not today. Like I said, I did started this and I'm really enjoying it. We have a dual point of view, which I didn't know going into the book, but I'm enjoying it so far, which is funny because dual point of views usually like mess me up. I don't know, it's usually hard to follow 2 different characters. The next book I'm currently reading, I'm also hoping to finish today during my reading sprints, and that is The Mortal Instruments Volume 7 by Cassandra Clare and art done by Cassandra Jean. You guys know what this is about. I really don't need to discuss too much about this, except this is the 7th installment of this graphic novel series. I actually bought this earlier in the month of May because I totally forgot that this book came out last year until I saw it sitting on the graphic novel bookshelf at Barnes & Noble, and I was book shopping with my friend Liz, and when I saw it on the shelf, I literally screamed. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot I have to get this one because it's the next installment and I haven't read it yet. So and then volume 8 comes out in October of this year, so I will have to wait a little while for the 8th installment. But I love this series. Cassandra Clare, you guys know, is an author. This is how far I am into this one, so definitely planning on finishing this one today, and hopefully this will be my May wrap-up. And the next book that I am currently reading that I'm also hoping to finish today is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. This is the first book in a new YA fantasy series. It's actually going to be a duology. And book 2 comes out in November, and Owlcrate is already planning on doing a special edition for book 2. So that's really cool. I have 2 copies of this book. I have one from Book of the Month, as you can see from the top corner right there. I have one from Book of the Month, and then I have one from Owlcrate. I'm currently reading my Book of the Month copy because my Owlcrate copy is A, it's super heavy as a hardcover, and B, it's just too beautiful not to get ruined. So I decided if I want to bring this one, I'm traveling, and by traveling I mean going places from like work or karate, I would like to use my Book of the Month edition so it's lighter in my bags. Anyways, we follow 2 main characters, Wit and, oh my goodness, Inez. How can I forget? It's an easy name. Inez and Wit. We follow 2 main characters who are very different. One is from a broken past, and the other one is from a rich family, and it's an Egyptian mythology in here as well, so that's very cool, and I'm hoping to finish this one today, but we shall see. So I'm 105 pages into it currently, but I'm hoping, like I said, to make more progress in this book today. Alrighty, those are the 3 books I am currently reading, and hopefully you will see those in my May wrap-up. And let's talk about my reading stats for the month of March. So I had 0 1 star, 0 2 stars, 1 3 stars, 3 4 stars, 4 5 stars. 0 of these were arcs. 5 of these I listened to as audiobooks. 0 of these were buddy reads. 0 of them was Book of the Month edition. 0 book club picks. 0 completed series, but I did get caught up on 2 series, which is amazing. 0 graphic novel. 1 of these were my library books. 2 of these I physically read. 1 was a new release from 2024. 1 was an Owl Crate read. 3 of these got carried over in the month of April, and 3 of these were sequels. My page count for the month of March was 2,971 pages. Not bad for being at such a small month. My biggest book of the month, if you can't tell by my stack right here, my biggest book of the month was A Cruel and Fated Light by Ashley Shuttleworth. This is coming in at 637 pages total. It was definitely got me in a bit of a slump, but we'll talk more about that here in a minute. And then my smallest book of the month, which I was shocked because this is still quite a hefty fantasy, is All This Twisted Glory by Tahereh Mafi. This is the 3rd installment of the YA fantasy series. This is clocking in at 304 pages total, which is very surprising because it did not feel like 300 pages. And then my favorite read this month, I didn't write it down. I had a lot of 5 stars. My favorite read for this month is gonna be... Sorry, I'm just choosing off the bat. My favorite read this month was Jade Fire Gold by Junci Lin Tan. This is her debut novel that came out years ago, but I just now finally got around to reading it, and I absolutely love this. This was narrated by one of my favorite narrators, Natalie Naudus, who I'm so excited to have more audiobooks to come from her. Like I said, one of my favorite narrators, so very excited to see what she has in store for her career. Really loved this debut. It was so easy to read. The chapters were super short. I flew through this book like crazy. It took me like 2 days to read it. It would have been one day if I didn't have work, but work got in the way, and so I did enjoy this, and I really honestly can't wait to see what Junci Lin Tan has in store in the future. I've already read one of her books that already came out, spoiler alert, and I also love that one, so I cannot wait for the sequel of that series to come out soon. So yeah. So let's jump into the books that I've read and what I thought of them and what ratings I gave each book. So the first book in the month of March that I read was a adult romance novel, and that was Emily Henry's Happy Place. I'm so happy that I read this one this year finally. This has been sitting on my TBR shelf for quite a long time, ever since it came out. I remember my mom bought me this book last year because I finally got my license in April, and this was like one of my most anticipated reads for the month of April last year, and I just never got around to reading it, despite every single person I follow here on BookTube give it 5 stars, and I'm one of those people who also gave this book 5 stars. If you don't know what Happy Place is about, Happy Place follows our 2 main characters, who one of them just went through a breakup, and she is trying to find her happy place, and so her happy place is at this cabin resort that she has up in Maine, and not a lot of people mention the setting of Maine, and I feel like that is just terrible, I guess, not disgraceful, but this is set in Maine during the summertime, and you've been to Maine in the summertime, and it's super pretty up there. I've been there multiple times because of my family. Anyways, I really enjoyed this. I really read this in like one day, so I was really shocked of how fast I read this, because this is quite a big contemporary contemporary novel, and is almost 400 pages. So yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody and their mother knows what this book is about. If you don't, I don't know where you've been. I really enjoyed this, and I loved how we follow only one character, and it wasn't dual point of view. And I'm excited to read her new one, which is called Funny Story. So, spoiler alert, that will be on my June TBR. But yeah, Harriet and Wen are just an amazing couple. I actually ship them like really hard because I just love those two. They became my new favorite couple of the month, and I don't know. I feel like this is a popular release, so I feel like you guys already know more about this. I have a weekly reading vlog of me reading this book, so I'll leave that up above or down below in the description, and I hope you pick up A Happy Place. It's definitely a perfect summertime read. The next book I have read was one of my favorite reads of the month, and that is Jade Fire Gold by Junci Lin Tan. I've already talked about this book, but I will say that the characters in here are what made the story something that I loved. It was so well written. There's, like I said earlier, there's short chapters in here, so I kind of flew through this fantasy book. There's a Phoenix writer in here as well that deals with a powerful, like, almost warlock magic, almost. I don't know, it's really hard for me to explain books and why I really love them. Again, I've done a weekly vlog of me reading this book, and I honestly can't wait to see what this author has in store. And yeah, I've already talked about why I love this book earlier, so 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm moving on because it's quite awkward. The next book that I read was one that I have to put a picture in, so sorry, future me. I've returned this to my library already, but I'm actually thinking of buying myself a finished copy soon. And so that is The Scarlet Alchemist by Kylie Lee Baker. This is the first installment of a YA fantasy duology, and I am mad about the way this book ended. Oh my goodness. The way this book ended was such a huge cliffhanger that I wasn't expecting, and I literally want an arc of book 2, and I don't know who to contact to get an arc of book 2, but book 2 does not come out till October of this year, so I really do have a long wait to get to book 2, which is the finale of this duology. This has a competition aspect in here that I really loved. I actually didn't know it was a competition setting until I got to the scene of the competition happening, and I was like, oh, this is a competition setting. There's also morally great characters in here, and there's LGBT characters in here as well, which is amazing. And then there's also enemies to lovers trope, which is why I picked it up in the first place. This actually made me want to go back and read Kylie's debut novel, The Keeper of Night, because I still haven't finished that duology, and I'm kind of missing her writing right now. So maybe I'll do that this summer and binge read that duology while I'm reading for book 2 of this duology. But I really enjoyed this. I give it 5 out of 5 stars, and I will definitely be buying myself a finished copy soon. After that, I got into a little slump because like the first 3 books were 5 and 4 star reads for me, so I was a little slumpy and I did not know what to pick up next. So I decided to continue the fantasy train, and I decided to pick up one of my most anticipated reads, and that was All This Twisted Glory by Tara Mafi. Like I said earlier, this is 304 pages total, and it's the 3rd book in the fantasy series. I almost said trilogy, but it's not. There's going to be 5 books, so we have 2 more coming. Book 4 will be coming out in 2025, which I'm also mad that I've started like so many sequels and I have to wait for the next installment this year. I've noticed that a lot with all my reads. It's like I pick up my most anticipated reads and then I wait for the sequel to come out, and I'm like, why do I have to wait? I just want them now. Anybody else feel like that lately? I don't know. It's just honestly for me lately, that's how I've been feeling. Anyways, I can't really talk too much about this just because it is a sequel, but if you know what happens in book 1 and book 2, you definitely will want to pick up book 3 right away, because not only was the book 2 a bad cliffhanger, but this was even worse. This had me screaming when I was at the beach in Hawaii, and I was just like so shocked at the ending. I was just like, oh my goodness, what, how, why, who, how did this character died? There is dragons involved in this book and a magic carpet, which is pretty cool because it kind of gave me like a little bit of Aladdin vibes. And honestly, Tahereh Mafi is another auto-buy author for me, so I really don't need to talk too much about this series. I'm curious to see what the title and the cover of book 4 is going to look like, because the first one was yellow and the second one's pink, and this is kind of like a purple color. So I'm curious to see what the colors of the cover for book 4 will look like. I guess we'll find out soon. But I'm pretty mad at Tahereh Mafi, the way she ended this book. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. And once again, I have reading vlogs for all these books. The next book I read was one that is my most amount of pages read this month, and that was A Cruel Unfaded Light by Ashley Shuttleworth. This book actually got me in a bit of a reading slump this month, which is why I've only read 7 books. After finishing this, I was just like so emotionally wrecked. I was like, what the heck do I read next? I literally said it in that tone of voice too. I buddy read this with my friend Lori, so I should have marked it down as a buddy read. Anyways, I buddy read this with my friend Lori over at the Chatty Book Forum, and I'm so excited to continue on. I know this is the second book in a 4-book series, and it's so funny that I give this one 5 stars, because the first book that I read of the series, which is a Dark and Hollow Star, the first book I read, I actually gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I wasn't a huge fan of it because it was multi-point of view, but this is also still a multi-point of view, but for some reason I love this one even more, and I think it's just because it's been a while since I was in this world, and I think I just needed a break from this world between 1 and 2, which is so weird of how that works. But book 3 is out now, and book 4 will be coming out in November, so if I wanted to, I could wait until book 4 comes out. That way I can binge read the last 2 books, because the third installment is quite huge. It is like 700 pages, I think. Anyways, this is a sequel to A Dark and Hollow Star. This has fae magic in here and a fae world, and this is also set in like Canada and New York and also Nevada, which was pretty cool to see a book that was set in my hometown. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see, especially when they were complaining about how hot it is in the desert, and I'm like, yup, been here for years and I know that feeling. I love the characters. I think my new favorite character is Arlo. I didn't love her in the first book, but I loved them in this one, so I'm excited to see what happens in book 3. But yeah, this kind of got me in a reading slump, and I was a little mad about that because I'm supposed to be reading all these amazing books, but this one was just so good that it got me in a slump. The second to last book I read in the month of March was one I read for the Transwrite Readathon that I forgot who was hosting it. I'll leave the creators and the hashtag down below if you guys want to go check it out. I've had a set TBR for that week, but I never got to any of the other books I wanted to read. I only got to one, and I'm actually really happy I got to this one, because this was not only a most anticipated read of mine, but this was also a just like one of the top 3 books I wanted to get to that week, and I really did get to it, and I'm really shocked I did, and it's super short, and that was Most Ardently by Gabe Cole Nova. This was my first book by this author, and I'm super excited to see what they will do in the future. I have a couple books on my Amazon wish list from this author, so I'm excited to see if I will buy them or not. I literally bought this because it was a Pride and Prejudice remix, and it was also transcript, and I don't think we have a lot of transcript in the world right now for book world, and if we do, please leave your recommendation down below. I really enjoyed this. This is definitely a darker take on Pride and Prejudice though, so definitely beware of the trigger warnings and just content stuff that goes on in this book. There was a couple scenes that made me cry. I was literally sobbing at night when I was reading this book. I give this one 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star because there was actually one scene that made me super angry with how it went out. But again, I can't really discuss too much about this book because I don't want to spoil you guys of what happened. But I overall enjoyed it, and I'm hoping to read more from this author because this is a new to me author. And last but not least, the final book in the month of March I've read was actually another book recommendation from my friend Lori, and that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is the newest book by Ashley, and I really love this one as well. All my reads for the month of March has been 4 or 5 stars, which was amazing. The only reason why I read so little was because A Cruel and Fated Light put me in a slump. I'm looking at you. That's why it's down here and not up above. Anyways, back to this one. This is such a fun beach read. It's a summertime read. If you're looking for a good summer read that will make you cry, definitely check this one out. I really had a magical time with this because I brought this book with me when I went to Hawaii in March, and I read a little bit on the beach, not the whole thing. It's actually funny. I started this on one beach, and then we went to another beach, and I got halfway through, and then it was like the last day of our trip, and I decided to pick this back up because I wanted like a good plane read. And oh my gosh, reading this book in a plane, that was like magical to me. It was so fun to read this on the plane. I don't know why. I would say this is definitely not one to read in public though, because there was some quite smexy time read in here. So if you catch my drift. I cannot wait to read more from Ashley Poston, and I actually have her other one, The Dead Romantics, on my TBR shelf, and I'm like, oh, I want to read that one first, or that one next, because I read this one first. I really enjoyed this. The food in here, the food made me so hungry too, and I was stuck on a plane for like 5 hours, and I was like, I just want the food that they're talking about. I really enjoyed this. Clementine West is an amazing female main character to read from. It was a heart-wrenching novel, so definitely, again, another book to check trigger warnings. But I've really enjoyed this, and I'm so happy that Lori recommended this to me for the 12 friends by 12 followers list. I'll leave my video for that up above or down below. And once again, thank you, Lori. And if you guys have any more books that are similar to The 7-Year Slip, I would definitely love your recommendation for it. I would say the one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of was the time jumps that we had in here. And if you know what this book is about, then you know why I mentioned that. The time jumps were a little bit confusing for me, especially towards the end. But I was physically reading this book, and I finished it on the plane, and I was like, what do I do now? That was like the main question throughout the month of March. It's like, what do I read next? But yeah, I'm really happy I got to this, and I would definitely recommend this. And I think this might be one of my favorite romances of the year. And I haven't read a whole lot of romances this year, so pretty stoked for that. So 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely will keep recommending this book to you guys until the end of the year. So there you have it. Those are the 7 books that I read in the month of March. Let me know what you guys read. Have you read any of these books? What were your thoughts? Let me know down below. If we have made it through the video, since there are birds on the cover right here, I don't know if you can see that. Since there are birds right here, leave a bird emoji down below. That might be like a super weird emoji, but if you made it all the way through the video, leave a bird emoji in the comments below. And I hope you all have a great day or night or not. The choice is yours, and happy reading. And I'll talk to you guys down in the comments below. Bye guys. Love you.